6,000 years ago, enormous glaciers melted rapidly, causing global sea levels to rise by more than 100 meters over several thousand years. Entire coastlines vanished beneath the ocean. Areas that were once fertile plains became seabeds. Today, underwater archaeologists continue discovering evidence of submerged prehistoric landscapes around the world. Could ancient memories of these catastrophic floods have survived for thousands of years before eventually being carved into Egyptian stone? No one knows, but it's an intriguing possibility. Now here's where the mystery becomes even more fascinating. If one civilization disappeared beneath rising seas, what became of the next? The second group is often identified as the Netgeria. The word itself is frequently translated as the divine ones, although many Egyptologists emphasize that ancient Egyptian concepts of divinity were far more nuanced than modern ideas of gods. Some interpretations describe these figures not as supernatural beings, but as rulers or lawgivers associated with maintaining order. According to the controversial reading of the Abydos inscription, their downfall came not from water, but from the earth itself. Imagine living in a thriving settlement where the ground suddenly begins to shake. Buildings collapse, fields split apart, rivers change course. Entire communities are forced to abandon everything they built. Modern geology confirms that northeastern Africa has experienced significant seismic activity throughout prehistory. Earthquakes can transform entire regions in minutes. In areas with water-saturated soils, the ground can even liquefy, swallowing buildings whole. Whether or not the inscription truly refers to such an event remains debated, but the possibility creates an eerie connection between ancient tradition and Earth's geological past. Two civilizations, two different catastrophes. If the pattern stopped there, perhaps it could be dismissed as coincidence. But according to this interpretation, it doesn't. The third civilization may be the most intriguing of them all. They're known as the Majat. Rather than being remembered for conquest or monumental architecture, they're associated with something entirely different. Knowledge, writing, record-keeping, administration. According to proponents of this interpretation, the inscription suggests the Majat were responsible for preserving the count of all things, a phrase that has inspired countless debates. Could this simply refer to tax records, or does it imply something much greater? Here's why that matters. Ancient Egyptian civilization seems to appear with remarkable sophistication. By the time written records become abundant, hieroglyphics are already highly developed. Government administration is complex. Astronomy is surprisingly advanced. Mathematics is well established. Unlike other ancient writing systems which show gradual development over centuries, Egyptian hieroglyphs appear in an already mature form. Mainstream scholars explain this by pointing out that earlier stages may simply not have survived. After all, the Nile's annual floods destroyed countless prehistoric settlements. Organic writing materials rarely endure for thousands of years. It's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Yet others wonder whether Egypt inherited knowledge from cultures that existed before the first dynasty. Not extraterrestrials, not mythical superhumans. Simply, earlier human societies whose stories have largely vanished. The Abydos inscription has become one piece of evidence used to support that possibility. But if knowledge really was passed from one civilization to another, then history may be far more complicated than a simple beginning. And that's exactly where the next mystery begins. According to this interpretation, the Majat didn't simply disappear, their knowledge survived them. Imagine libraries copied by refugees, engineers teaching apprentices from another culture, astronomers preserving generations of observations before their own cities vanished. Throughout history, knowledge has often outlived the civilizations that created it. The collapse of Rome didn't erase engineering. The destruction of Alexandria didn't eliminate mathematics. Ideas travel, people migrate, civilizations inherit. Perhaps the ancient Egyptians themselves understood this better than anyone. Or perhaps later generations simply transformed distant memories into sacred tradition. Either possibility is extraordinary. Modern archaeology continues to reveal that human history is far older and more complex than once believed. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey pushed monumental architecture thousands of years further into the past. Massive prehistoric settlements continue to emerge beneath deserts, forests, and even the ocean. Every decade seems to rewrite another chapter of our story. Could Egypt still hold similar surprises beneath its sands?
Many researchers believe so, others remain skeptical. That's how science advances. Evidence is examined,
Interpretations are challenged, new discoveries force old assumptions to evolve. But if the first three civilizations described by some interpretations of the Abydos inscription were remembered because of natural catastrophes, what happened to the fourth? According to the inscription, they weren't destroyed overnight. They slowly disappeared. Their numbers declined, their influence faded, and eventually they were absorbed into something else. Even more astonishing, the final civilization wasn't destroyed at all. Ancient tradition claims they made a choice that has puzzled researchers for generations. They simply left. Where they went and why may be the greatest mystery of all. And that's exactly where our investigation continues in part 2.